how about an anecdote about your experience helping clients reprocessing a preverbal trauma?
I have a small child that I happened to do preverbal with, not knowing this child wasn't old enough to have a lot of language and had some delayed language acquisition. And the family had experienced a really traumatic perinatal experience. And I'm a sucker for a cute kid. And the work ended up being this child processing the stillbirth of her sister and actually talking about points in that time that, again, her caregivers didn't know if she did or didn't and have any memory or any kind of knowledge of what had happened. I think we tiptoe around death in this country, but especially with children. And even just like movement with her spirit, her energy, her language, her connection with her caregiver. It was pretty moving. Like something just happened. And I got to witness that and be part of that and start some healing for a whole family. Crazy.
So one that comes to mind for me too is also a kid example, but it was a family of multiples. And so each clinician in the practice that I was working at the time was working with one of the children, and we had access to a guardian who had some of the story. So we were able to meet in a group room with several of us in the room and have the guardian tell the narrative of some of these key stages of development and actually do the reprocessing together as a group. And it was pretty amazing to see the differences in how each kid was reprocessing and also the impact on the guardian who was working with us as a family unit. So that was probably the most unique experience that I've had in doing this, and also surprising along the way.
An adult example that comes up is someone who really just had all the things growing up. And then we know adult children have complicated relationships with their adult parents when there's this kind of history of abuse and neglect and lots of things. But seeing her get to a place with her biological parents of they didn't have what they needed, and this shift and I can be okay, that wasn't about me. Again, what? And this person was pregnant. And so to think that you'll hear us say when you work on your own stuff, you're naturally setting up your children or the people in your lives to not experience this generational trauma or intergenerational trauma or patterns. And it was really cool to see that shift of, wait, I'm okay. And I wish this person who was part of my childhood horror could have gotten what she needed when she needed it.
Yeah.
We're not making this up, I promise.
I'll share a subtle one too, because it's helpful to hear the other side of things. When you know there's some obvious trauma in those early years, but I'll share an adult client that I worked with that we had done a lot of reprocessing, working on lots of different themes, and there was still this just deep-rooted negative voice, right, that just would come up persistently. And so we went the attachment route and we looked at the really early stages of development. And it was actually surprising because I thought we were going to go to mom. I knew that there was this strained relationship and it went a different direction than we both were expecting. And it really opened some things up for this client with the other parent that I don't think we would have ever gotten to with traditional setting up of targets. It wasn't a float back memory we would have found. And it was really a subtle kind of underlying attachment wound that didn't seem significant at the time.